the City of Angels. You are listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast. On today's episode, I'm back, so let me strike the music and I'll meet you on the other side.
Engage.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, I am your father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
What's up, motherfucker? Welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast. I am your host, James Salazar, the formerly mentioned. You know who I am. Welcome back, my fellow Americans. Welcome back, you crazy savages. I'm back. I'm back for the attack. It's been a long journey. A long journey. It's been a long road when you're on your own and you feel like you tear your dreams apart. That's Rambo. The end of Rambo, they sing that song. It's a very emotional moment. I digress. So you haven't heard me for about 2 months. And there's really no excuse for it other than the excuses I'm about to lay before you. Where do I start? Where do I start this journey of self-quarantining? The nation has been turned on its head and is raring to go, excited to get out there and buy shit. No, basically, hardware and software went belly up. And just before the pandemic started to hit and they started to quarantine people, and I just found myself with a computer that was no longer working. Also, unable to edit it with software. It was just crumbling all apart. And I have a new computer now. And it's wonderful, and hence why I'm doing this podcast, where I'm doing right now. This is my comeback podcast. Yes, please, no more applauding. I know you're excited to hear what I think about stuff. Fuckering fuckatash. If you do not know, I've been on a guest on the live podcast hosted by Bax Baca, my best friend. He brought me in because some people were not following through, and a lot of people who were supposed to be guests didn't come in, so I came in to save the day. That's right, I came in. Me, James Salazar, came in to fucking save the day. It's an amazing thing. But I did like 2 or 3 podcasts trying to get them uploaded, but they were very, par for the time. And by the time I was about to put them back up, I was like 2 weeks behind, and all the content I was talking about inside that podcast were all irrelevant. The news cycle has already blasted by the subjects I was talking about. So, that was unfortunate. And I decided not to put them up, because part of those who listen to podcasts, they like, and I am no different. They like to have address subjects that are happening right then and there in the country, in the world. And for those who do like me, try to somebody saying hi to me on my computer. That's very distracting. Turn that shit off. But as I was saying, I digress. Yeah, so I had a couple podcasts, couldn't upload them, lots of problems. Ended up buying a new computer. Now, that was a big decision because I have a 27-inch iMac, about 7 years old. and it took a shitter. And it actually took a shitter for a while. Then I went over to my mother's house and did some podcasting over there because she got some filme equipment. And I said, shit, I'll just do it over there. And I did that. Then her freaking computer that's like 5 years old took a belly up, and that was where the problem came. But, so, I digress, and let me get back to the main subject. So I was looking to buy another iMac, and basically, as I started to do some research, it looked like they were going to have a new iMac coming out this September. It's going to be pretty awesome, but I needed a computer now, and I didn't want to regret buying it now and then have it be a whole generation old, and I would regret my purchase. So I ended up getting a mini Mac and upgrading it to the point where I think the next iMac will be. Got the wireless keyboard and the wireless and the trackpad, the Magic Trackpad, whatever they call it. And I got an LG 34-inch ultra-wide monitor. So they say all the bells and whistles that's going to go into the new iMac is going to be a 32-inch. So I just had to get everything that would be comparable for what might come back by the iMac. Believe me, I would have bought the iMac if it was in. But the way I configured the mini Mac, if I did the same configuration on the iMac, it would have been about $700 more. So I'm feeling good about my purchase, and I like the widescreen. It helps with multitasking. And I got it about 4 days ago, maybe close to a week now. I'm not sure. And I decided to pull out my old Blue Yeti microphone and said, we need to get back up because America needs to come back. I need to come back for Americans and for the economy to open. If I'm someone who believes the economy should open, then I should open up my podcast. That is only fair. I should do the same. Put my money where my mouth is. So this is why I'm doing the podcast today. It's been a long journey. And, at the beginning of the quarantine, of the pandemic, I was afraid. I realized that, everybody went crazy and they hoarded toilet paper. I do not know what they thought was going to happen to their ass during the quarantine, but nonetheless, people just decided to hoard a lot of toilet paper. But I knew that mentality can turn to food, and it did. And it really showed. It really opened my eyes about how ill-prepared I was if, for some reason, things didn't get back to normal. And we're still trying to get things back to normal even till today. But I had to take a good, strong look in the mirror and realize that if, for some reason, the supply chain broke and it was unfixable due to a greater pandemic or an earthquake or whatever, a tsunami, that me and my family would be in a very dangerous place. A very dangerous place. That is unacceptable. And I intend to remedy that problem, and I have in some ways, but I need to prepare for a 6-month disaster. And there's a lot of, as you start to go down that rabbit hole of survivalist and doomsday preppers, it's a $1 billion industry. And there's plenty of companies that are willing to oblige you to spend your money with them so you can be prepared. And I'm going to devote a podcast to how and what I bought and which way I prepared myself. So that should be forthcoming. Concerning the future, a lot of the future got hold. There's really not much to talk about in the world of futurism. Other than Elon Musk has pretty much been at war with California, and how long and how overly oppressive, not maybe oppressive, but heavy-handed on the restrictions that he felt should be lifted by now, that he threatened to go to a different state, Texas, and they played chicken, and the California moved, and he kept on past. So he was able to open up his Tesla factory and resume all the things he needed to resume with SpaceX concerning this next flight coming up this next month, that we're going to put guys in capsules again and shoot them to the space station, and it will be back for NASA. NASA will no longer need to hitch a ride with the Russians. It was closed down in the Obama administration because of the 2008 crisis, and is actually coming back in the 2020 crisis. So Donald Trump refuses to pull back on our space race and our ability to go where no man has gone before. He's created a space force, and you've heard me talk about this many times, and now he is gearing up to go to the moon, and then have the moon be a staging area to go to Mars. And we're looking to go to the moon in the next 5 years. And hopefully by the end of the decade, we will have an attempt by humans to live on Mars. And that will be exciting. It will be the first. It will be history, world history, never to be forgotten. So I'm, for one, excited, and I believe it's going to happen, and it's going to push us to medical and technological advances that we can't comprehend, just like it did in the space race to the moon. The amount of technological advancements and patents that came from that endeavor surround and feed and give us the quality of life that most other nations don't have, because they did not bother to do such a endeavor. And, they have it because we give it to them and they're able to buy it from us. But the big thing right now is whether to open up in our economy. And a lot of people are too afraid. They think we should have a cure, and we should wait to a cure. And if we don't wait to a cure, many people are going to die. And on the other hand, the other argument is that if we keep the economy closed, it could get us into a deep depression that we can't get out for years, and this is going to lead to crime, suicide, broken families, homelessness, depression, and the death rate would be even more if we don't bring back our economy. And this is the war of ideas right now. Where am I at this? The biggest problem when I'm hearing everybody talk today is this either or idea. It's like either shut down or fully open. And that's not really realistic. It's somewhere in the middle. First of all, this one solution for all states and all cities is silly. We can't treat every state like New York. Did I say New York? New York. What the fuck am I saying? New York. New York. If I could make it there, I'll make it. Anywhere is up to you. New York. COVID-19. So, yeah, this idea that we should treat every nation, every state in our country, the same as New York is silly. We should open up the economy and allow the young people to save our economy. Look if you are 65 and older, you should stay in, and the government probably should subsidize you staying in and helping you out financially. But it's time to open up the economy and let the younger people and the middle-aged people save our country. And these people are so many people are going to die. Yeah, this is part of answering a crisis. When Hitler was invading countries in World War II, we as a society collectively sent our young men to go fight that evil regime. And we were okay with it because it was destroying evil. And it was preventing a disaster in Europe that would eventually affect us. Today, we can't even send people outside our door to risk going out to dinner and to a movie. And like, don't do it, you could die. We need the young and the healthy to get back to work, to get back and spend money in the economy and purchase stuff and start living life. Start bringing our country back. And all those who are afraid, then keep your ass inside. That's fine. All right? If you don't want to help out with the economy, then stay inside, whatever. But we need our young, college, middle age, 55 and down, we need you to get back inside to the economy and start working again to save our country, to save our economy. And it's going to be a risk. Obviously, it's going to be a risk. But this time you're fighting for America. This time you're fighting for our local economies of jobs are being lost. Thousands of businesses are dying. There's a very delicate balance that we are dealing with here. If there's not enough jobs, doesn't matter who comes back and when. If we don't get back soon, we may never recover for 5 to 7 years to 10 years even. Because there won't be any jobs for people to go back to. Because there's no customers buying anything. And if there's no customers buying anything, there's no one to employ to meet the need and the volume of the customers that are purchasing from a business owner. Right now, there are companies that are never coming back. And there's going to be a big hit for that. We're looking at the young not having any work, and idle hands are the devil's playwork. That means, and what does that mean is that when people can't get work, they get desperate. And if they have no jobs, and then they get frustrated. And when you get desperation and frustration in these kids that are full of testosterone, many who probably don't have any fathers, you get a lot of violence. You get a lot of trouble. This is a fact. We need the economy to come back. We need to ask from our young and middle age, everybody 55 and older, to risk to open up the economy, to save the economy so we are not in a more desperate situation after COVID-19. Nothing kills people more than a defunct economy and poverty. Let me tell you. So I call upon the American patriot to go to a restaurant and enjoy your food, to go to a party and go to a dance club and go watch some games and go out in the park, go watch a movie. It's better than going and shooting at Nazis, right? It's better than blowing up people or shooting at them or people shooting at you. You actually have an important job to bring back the economy, and it means you having fun. Yes, there's a risk that you might catch COVID-19, just like there was a risk that you're going to catch a bullet in World War II, but there were brave men and women who went to fight for our country overseas, and all I'm asking from you, and I'm asking from myself, to fight for your economy and your country here today. To be brave. To spend the money. Open up our economy and go back to work. Do what makes Americans great. We work hard and we play hard. And if we work hard and play hard, the economy will come back hard. Believe me. But if we wait too long, if we are fearful, like one of our great presidents said, Eisenhower, all we have to fear is itself. And I'll quote from another president, John F. Kennedy, who says, we do this, that, and the other thing, not because it's easy, because it is hard. So I tell you today, my friends, we need to bring back in our economy, and it's up to us. You got a lot of governors that have gotten a lot of power, and they think they need to save us from ourselves when they are dooming us to a different kind of disaster, and they can't see it. And we might have to recall them. But if we collectively open, because this is a country that is governed by the citizens, we need to take our economy back. We need to take this back. So, if you go out and you do spend your money and you become a patriot, you stay away from grandma and grandpa, asshole. All right? Don't go hose them up with your drippy nose and your coughing, okay? You're going to have to stay away from them this summer. to bring back the economy, because they're still high at risk. And I'm not saying let's go out and freaking go visit and go kiss grandma on the cheek, and then she dies of COVID-19 because you need to hug your mommy, your meemaw, whatever. I'm telling you, my friends, we can't let fear rule the day. This cure may never come, or it can come next week, or it can come next year, but we got to get to living. Let me tell you something, and in all seriousness, your life is not to be thinking about dying. This is about thinking about living. You see, death will come for us all, sooner or later. All right? And there's nothing you can do about it. Okay? So, you shouldn't be focusing on death, but you should be focusing on living, because that's your responsibility. Your responsibility is to live, and live the best life you possibly can. Not constantly worrying about how you're going to die, because I'm going to say a very scary statement. I've been on a lot of deathbeds as a minister, and the people who were couch potatoes, who sat on their ass and didn't go anywhere and didn't do anything, faced death with fear and panic. And they weren't ready to go. And they felt they wasted their lives. But the people who truly lived, people who constantly look for the adventure in life, these people on their deathbed said things like, I have no regrets. I did what I wanted to do. I fought this. I ran this race. And it comes back to that one statement, that those who are afraid to die haven't really lived. And I've seen that on the deathbed, ministering people their last rites before they go on to the unknown, where I believe God lives. And it's always stuck with me that you should be focusing on living, not be focusing on dying. Because if you truly focus on dying, then you will never walk out of your house. You will never risk anything. You won't get on a bike. You won't get on a skateboard. You won't walk down the street. You won't get in a car. You definitely won't go in on a plane. You won't go to far distant lands and educate and expand your horizons, because it's dangerous. Life is dangerous. So, as I've come back and as NASA come back, we collectively as Americans need to come back and get back to what we do best. Work hard, play hard, and be the dominant culture, dominant economy, dominant military that this world has ever seen. We should fight like cats and dogs, hold on till our nails break. Our place in the world. You know what? Let me tell you something. The world's fucking lucky that United States of America is the most powerful nation by far, because if it was Russia or China, we'd be fucked. Or any one of those Latin nations. It is... The world has dodged a bullet. That America is the most strongest nation on earth. And I'll say it here and I'll say it now. And I know he's hard to listen to. I know he's hard to deal with. But America dodged a bullet by having Donald Trump during this pandemic. Because those Democrats, they would have never shut down the airport would have never shut down the borders because they're so politically correct. It would be considered racism to them. And they did call Donald Trump a racist for closing down the airports and people coming in and out. And then they went back and said he didn't close it fast enough. You gotta have some nuts to be that blatant with your hypocrisy. They even had Huggin' Asian Day in San Francisco and New York during the height of the coronavirus, because they were trying to make some political, because of some PC bullshit. I'm pretty sure half those agents said, "Don't be hugging me, fool. I don't know if you got the coronavirus." Yeah, so it's we dodged a bullet. Believe me, you don't want those fools to be in charge right now during a pandemic. So it is what it is. I know that's a stupid statement at times, but if your government's being too much of a dick, then, start a petition to have them recalled. I think they made a misstep, and they think they're trying to save us, and they think they look great. But at the end of the day, they're going to be voted out of office, even some before the election. So I think it's a bad move. Like my governor, Gavin Newsom, I was super impressed with how he handled the coronavirus in the beginning. I thought he was great. And then slowly, as these individuals get power, they try to bring on a nanny state where they think they know better than you and they need to save you from yourself, and they start closing down things and refusing to have them reopen where other economies. You know what? A lot of scientists, reputable scientists, said it's impossible to create herd immunity. And herd immunity means that when you come together, is the virus goes through things quickly, and you be able to reestablish a baseline. And some even think that a lesser form of virus gets spread to everybody else because those who are strong, are passing on a weaker form of the disease. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds plausible. But the fact of the matter is, it is impossible to create herd immunity if you are 6 feet away from each other and you're wearing masks. We won't create herd immunity. It's our only chance, other than a cure, to beat this. We cannot create it if we're staying 6 feet and have masks on. We sort of have to be next to each other and breathe on each other to go through herd immunity. And we are preventing that from happening. And we're going to have consequences from that. So, my friends, I think you heard me ramble off enough. Like I said, I am back. I try to be faithful every week from here on. I got a new computer, got my old mic up, and I hope all of you stay alive, healthy and wealthy and wise. Get back into the economy, buy things, go out to restaurants. You know your favorite restaurants? Get the 5 favorite restaurants that you love and support those restaurants. You don't want them to go. The couple bars that you like going to, go. If you want to see movies come back, then, you go to the theater. If you want to go to see your local bands risk going to a club and playing, then you got to be there to support them and go to the comedy shows and just get back to being to yourself and what you loved. You don't have to change. We are much smarter than we were before. So, my friends, If you want to follow me on any of my social media platforms, just type in James Salazar Media. I should come up. That's Facebook, Pinterest. What else? Instagram, Twitter, all of the above, YouTube. I'll be there. We'll be coming next week with a lot of TV shows have been watched. I don't know how many series I've been through. So I'm going to have a whole review on all the TV shows I've watched on Netflix and on Amazon Prime and Hulu and all those, and which ones I like the most, and which one impressed me, which were a complete waste of time. So, my friends, if the storm of life come against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall. Take a look at that storm and say what my sensei Jack Byrne always says: give me your best shot. Strike the music.